Now, Trump might be bouncing from swing state to swing state ahead of the election, but it seems that his inability to know where he is at any given moment in time has finally come back to bite him. Now, to set the stage really quickly, you may remember Trump recently traveled to Detroit where he did this.
That's up for whoever is going to be the next president. I think Kamala, it's not going to be high on her list. I don't think anything that we're talking about today is high on her list. The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed, along with Newsom, California. And we're not going to let her do that to this country. We're not going to let it happen.
That is Trump trashing Detroit in Detroit. Brilliant move, Donald. No notes. Well, here's the update. This is now what's playing during the live broadcast of the Detroit Tigers baseball playoff game on Saturday and the Detroit Lions football game on Sunday.
They said we were dead.
Detroit waving the white flag, the city filing for bankruptcy.
That our best days were behind us. That living here is like
living in hell.
But you know what we said? We said, F that. We rebuilt ourselves. We looked out for each other, got our hands dirty, and put in the hard work. And this guy, he don't know anything about that. We are a city of winners, of up-and-comers, of builders, the Motor City. Bigger and better. Here, we believe in freedom. We don't bow down to nobody, and we never will. And so what Donald Trump doesn't understand, or care to learn, is that when he said,
our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president,
that he should be so goddamn lucky.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
The ad is narrated by Detroit native and actor Courtney B. Vance, and not for nothing, but the line, when Trump says our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president, Trump doesn't understand that he should be so goddamn lucky, is utterly devastating. It's also worth noting that Michigan is a swing state, and Detroit is the biggest city in that state. It's also a city where Joe Biden took a staggering 94% of the vote in 2020 on his way to win the battleground state. And on top of that, Detroit currently has the highest absentee ballot return rate in the entire state of Michigan, and is 9% above the statewide rate. In other words, not only is Trump trashing the biggest city in this key state, not only did his stupid comments immediately become an ad that would air during the biggest broadcast that Michiganders would all be watching, but that city is right now voting well above every other major municipality in the state. And something tells me that Trump isn't exactly activating swing voters by telling them where they live sucks. Now, as far as the strategic brilliance that was shitting on the biggest city in a key battleground state, there are two options here. Either Donald Trump is too brain-addled to have remembered that he was literally standing in Detroit while he was busy criticizing Detroit, which, hey, is perfectly viable. Let's not forget that this is what he said in Sioux City, Iowa.
A very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. And thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you.
Here he is forgetting that Bagram is an air base not in Alaska, but in Afghanistan.
We're energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant, and we would have been now having so much money coming out of the energy. We just have the best. We have Bagram in Alaska. They say it might be as big, might be bigger than all of Saudi Arabia. I got it approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. I got it done. In their first week, they terminated it.
Here he is forgetting who the sitting president was, thinking that it was Barack Obama.
Get that war settled. It's a bad war. And Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear. He's starting to talk nuclear weapons today.
So if you're asking me whether Trump is actually stupid enough to trash Detroit because he may very well have had zero clue where he was, I wouldn't put it past him in a million years. But just as likely is that he knew full well where he was. He's just got so much oozing contempt for his own supporters that he is perfectly content shitting on these people and their city right to their faces because he's just that certain that his supporters will sacrifice every shred of their dignity in their blind deference that they pay to the cult leader. We keep hearing how Trump supporters are these alphas, how finally men who aren't afraid to be men are back, and yet these people sit there while Donald Trump makes a fool of them, of their city, of their state, and after they've been summarily humiliated and infantilized, they walk out thinking that they're the tough guys? I have seen bowls of jello with more of a spine than these Trump supporters. The fact is that if this is the way Trump acts with less than a month to go until Election Day, if this is how incapable of discipline he is right now when it matters most, just imagine how he'll act when he's unencumbered by the prospect of another election. I mean, think about it. This is him on his best behavior. This is his final pitch to the voters. And if that includes shitting on Detroit, in Detroit, that should serve as a blinking red light about what to expect if this guy gets anywhere near the Oval Office again. And because he and his team were stupid enough to put it in writing, we now have the misfortune of knowing exactly what that would look like based on Project 2025. A plan, by the way, that has 4% approval. 4%! Think about what has a higher approval rating than that. Congress, for one. Nickelback? Herpes? Practically no one in this country approves of Project 2025, the backbone of Donald Trump's legislative agenda. I filmed this TikTok that I think puts on full display the most chilling part of this plan. Okay, there's obviously a lot that scares me about Project 2025, but nothing more than this. A major component of that plan is Trump reinstating what's called Schedule F. So you likely have no idea what I'm talking about. It's an executive order that Trump tried passing once in October of 2020. It would reclassify hundreds of thousands of career civil servants who currently populate the government, people who work at the DOJ, FBI, IRS, FCC, as political appointees. So right now, a president can only replace about 4,000 people in the government when they take office. Trump wants to expand that to almost everyone. This would mean hundreds of thousands of experts in their fields could be replaced by absolute loyalists to Trump. Think about what a lawless president could do if, for example, the DOJ is staffed not with career prosecutors whose loyalty is to the law, but political appointees whose loyalty is to Trump. Remember in 2020 when Trump and Republicans called for ballots to be thrown out in places like Detroit or Philly or Milwaukee? It didn't work then, but Schedule F wasn't in effect. If it is, and now you have thousands of Trump sycophants in charge of validating those claims and deciding, you know what, we think there was fraud in those Democratic strongholds and those votes need to be thrown away, that means that suddenly votes in all the big population centers at the heart of these bogus fraud claims are at risk. In short, with that kind of power, it means Democrats quite literally never win another election again. What happened in 2020 was them testing the fence to see where it was weakest, and they fixed the stuff that didn't go in their favor. This plan wouldn't be the first steps toward autocracy, it would be autocracy, full stop. So when we warn about Trump and Project 2025 and say that it will fundamentally alter our democracy, do not doubt it. This is the warning, and we won't get another one. So this is the warning. We know what to expect with Trump, someone who shows nothing but disdain for the very people who he purports to want to serve. His actual agenda is to drive us full tilt into autocracy. Do not let him get away with it. If you can vote by mail today, do it. If you can vote early today, do it. If you don't have a plan for Election Day, make one. We've got less than a month here. Make sure you can look back and know that you left it all out on the field. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.